people, and it's gone on far too long.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Carl Fields, and I'm an ex-incarcerated person. In my new life, I'm a program manager here in town at a day shelter. I'm a community organizer for formerly incarcerated people and allies, and I'm an almost fully restored citizen. I have no say in the civic process, even if I wanted to, because I can't vote. My story has already had many chapters to it. From the beginning, starting out in Chicago as a young person, growing up here in the 80s and early 90s, even having lived right up the street at 10th and Center. I learned something about systemic oppression at every turn. From getting into my first situations of real trouble in 1992-93 to remembering my very first time as an adult being pulled over by the police and asking if I was a felon or not. It felt like in the moment that they didn't know how far they could push the encounter and were weighing their options. I told them no, and they shifted in tone and in action. It's no secret to a lot of people in this room that I went to prison for a long time for my violent choices and the danger that I was to my community. But what you might not know is that those same systems that ushered me away from society in the year 2000 were slow and stagnant to bring me back in 2016 after 16 years. What do I mean? Well, I mean that whatever you may think of prisons, they were and still are a social experiment. And they're failing badly. What we think of a returning citizen, a returning person, as having paid their dues, and now they can come home and try to rebuild their lives as they so choose. I came home and nothing was further from the truth. After being gone for 15 years, 10 months, after getting wrong information from several prison social workers, and being told that I'd probably be back because that's how it works, I was furious, excited, and fearful. And wouldn't you know it, I hadn't, quote, paid my dues yet, because I had many more indignities to endure. I am on extended supervision, which is parole, quote unquote, until the year 2033, which means that I haven't voted since I was 20 years old and won't be able to do so again until I'm well into my 50s. Couple that with the fact that Wisconsin State has an African-American population of about 6%, but a prison population of over 50%. The conservative numbers say much lower than that. The realistic numbers are that. You quickly get a picture of black men and women never having a chance to decide who their city's alder or school board member or mayor might be, let alone running the office of those positions. I'm afraid. I'm angry and I'm afraid. The many racial disparities that exist in policing, in charging, convicting, and sentencing of blacks on the front end all get lost when we talk about restoring entire communities to citizenship from disenfranchisement. The rules of Department of Corrections Administrative Code says that after 2 years, if it's shown that there's no need to keep spending taxpayer money, also my money now, to monitor a person, that they should be released, discharged. I and a couple of thousand others could vote as soon as next month. The most pro-social thing I learned while I was in prison, you gotta care about your community too. Now that I do, why can't I come home and fully be a part of it? I ask everybody here today to remember that voting is not something that should ever be taken away from a person if that's a right to be involved in the civic process And if that is the focus of this prison system experiment, then why is it that we can't do so as part of coming home and being citizens again? Thank you.
Somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on